Welcome to Old School Sports and a new series on our channel that I hope will be something a little different. Hope that some of our traditional fans who have watched me over the years playing out of the park baseball and franchise hockey manager and tennis manager will join us on this journey. And I hope that we'll get some new viewers and new watchers of the channel as well. As you can tell by the title, we're going to take a spin playing the granddaddy of all of these sports management simulation games with Football Manager 2024. And the name of the series, Help Me Play, is very intentional. I have played Football Manager for a relatively long time. I think it's over 15 years since the first time I picked up the game, and I've had many versions over the years. But it's not a game that I've spent as much time with as my core competency, as it were, in out of the park baseball. So I've managed teams across multiple seasons. I've been promoted with lower level teams, etc., etc., etc. But I don't claim to have as great an understanding of this game as I do of some of the other games that I've played on this channel. I don't claim to have as great an understanding of football or soccer as I do of some of the other sports that I follow and have played on this channel. So it's going to be a learning experience for me, and I hope that will enable this to be a learning experience for some of you. What I'm going to do and what I plan to do is to do a maximum of 2 episodes a week. Oftentimes it may only be 1 episode a week, because the help me play part is very intentional, and I'm hoping to generate a fair amount of engagement in the comments, where those of you who are more experienced in the game, those of you who have ideas on how to build a team in this game, and those of you who just have questions and suggestions about what we might want to do going forward, will have time to share those with me, and then I will try to integrate and respond to those comments into the subsequent episodes. So my goal, as I said, is at least 1 episode a week, but at most 2 episodes a week, to ensure that there's time for anyone who wants to come along with us on this journey to share their thoughts and help educate me and other viewers with your thoughts in the comment section. I'll probably offend all viewers at some point. I'll probably offend some of my American viewers by referring to football rather than football. And I'll probably offend some of my viewers from areas other than the United States by sometimes referring to this as Soccer Manager. So I apologize for that up front. I'll also probably mispronounce many names, and I probably will miss some basic concepts. So as I said, I'm hoping this will be collaborative, and looking for those of you who are more experienced in FM and more experienced in the world of soccer to help guide me forward. And as you've probably noticed, we will be moving forward with Chelsea, team that finished in the middle of the Premier League last year. Wanted to have a team that was relatively stable financially, a team with a lot of resources. If this goes well, certainly would think about doing some of the more interesting challenges, which I tend to enjoy in some of the other sports games I play, building up from the bottom and kind of trying to build a dynasty or a strong team in a place where it hasn't happened before. But for this venture, we're going to start with a pretty well-heeled team in Chelsea. Chelsea also happens to be the only the host of the only English Premier League game that I ever went to about 15 years ago when I was in London on business. Got to go to a Chelsea match, fixture, whatever you would like to call it, while they were one of the top teams in the world. So I enjoyed that, but I think it would be unfair of me to claim to be a Chelsea fan. But the fact that it's the only EPL game that I attended, and I think it may have been called the Barclays Premier League back then, made it seem like a interesting team to manage. The scope of franchise manager is something that over the years has kept me from digging as deep into things, even thinking about Chelsea right now, needing to manage my under 21 team, my under 18 team, loaning out players, bringing in players on loan. There's just a lot of facets to this game which make it really interesting, but can also be quite overwhelming for newer players, or even players like myself who, as I mentioned, have played it for a long time, but certainly haven't dug in as deeply as most people who are probably putting out FM content on YouTube and the interwebs. So what I'm going to do in this first episode is basically just kind of get myself settled. One of the things that those of you who have watched me in other games know that I like to focus on is my staff. We'll probably try to make some offers for new staffers to join us. Chelsea, which had a very active transfer window period this past summer, is largely settled as far as what this roster is going to look like for this upcoming season. Goal is to hopefully improve on the 12th place finish that Chelsea had in the EPL last year, and hopefully maintain my job, and hopefully get ourselves into a situation where about a year from now, when the transfer window opens up again in 2024, the summer of 2024, not the winter transfer window, we'll be able to kind of start building this team a little bit more in our own image, and hopefully also developing and bringing along some of the younger players who have come on to the Chelsea club in recent weeks, months, and years. So that is the very high-level lay of the land. I'm going to start digging into some of the tutorials and the emails I've received here. I literally only bought Football Manager 2024 within the last hour. So I've spent no time with the game. Clearly the interface is very similar to last year and previous editions, so I'm not entirely unprepared for what is ahead of me. But basically just going to poke around and then share what I've been doing, what I've been thinking, and then finish up the episode and hopefully get some of you to engage with me and point me in a better direction for what I am trying to do here. And the available tactics in FM are one of the things that can be a bit overwhelming as a player of the game, and also someone who is not as familiar with all of the different potential formations and strategies of soccer as I am with American football, American baseball, basketball, sports that I kind of grew up more actively with. So as far as setting my tactics, I've just, for at least our initial tactic that we're going to be working on, gone with a tactical style that our assistant coach felt we were well suited for, vertical tiki-taka, and then a formation there, 4-3-3 DM wide, that he also felt our personnel were well suited for. Nothing more sophisticated than that. If you have thoughts on how many tactics I should typically develop and train, that would be interesting to hear. Typically, I do 2 or 3. I don't know if that's the right number or not, but it feels like if you have more than that, it probably gets hard to get the familiarity up with all of them. And I do tend to just find one that I like and default to it, which probably is not the optimal solution. So if you have any thoughts on how many tactics, what type of tactics to pursue, how important it is to go for those tactics that get the thumbs up from your assistant coaches as having players that are well suited for, versus how important it is to kind of implement a style that you like and you believe in, and ultimately building your team and your players around that style over a period of years. Any kind of thoughts on those kind of topics would be very helpful for me. And we had several friendlies scheduled already as part of the game, as you have the option to do when we started. We scheduled a friendly for tomorrow against our second 11. I've added a friendly proposal against RC Lens at home. Typically, when I play the game, I try to add in a few friendlies and typically try to do ones that will generate a little bit of money for the team. Probably less important with a huge market team like Chelsea and London than it can be when I've played with much smaller reputation teams, where being able to play against a big time famous club from another country or even within your country can sometimes be an opportunity to make an amount of money that is actually important for some of those teams with smaller budgets. So another area looking for kind of feedback and thoughts on is how many friendlies do you typically schedule for your teams, and what's kind of the plan of the friendlies? Is it money making? Is it getting your players in shape? Is it building the brand? Is it some combination of some of those items or something else? Always interested in hearing perspectives on thoughts on scheduling and how to run a proper training camp and series of friendlies before the season gets underway. And you can see that our season will be getting underway in a little over a month on the road at Man City on August 12th. And you can see here with the transfer window summary, Chelsea spent an insane amount of money this past summer during the transfer period, but also shipped a lot of players out. Would have been kind of interesting to play the game with Christian Pulisic, probably the most famous and possibly the best American football player out there today. But he is now with AC Milan, so we will not have an opportunity to do that. Probably would have favored him against or over some of his perhaps more talented peers anyways, so perhaps it's good that I won't be put in a position to have to let my rabid pro-Americanism influence my decision making. And I've been spending a little bit of time getting to know our squad. A lot of things that I'm going to need to learn about these players. Typically, like to initially look at who we're spending the huge money on, and also kind of figure out when these contracts expire. I don't know how active we are going to be at this point with the limited $7.5 million transfer budget that we still have available at this point. Probably not going to be able to bring on an impactful player with that type of budget at this point, since the heavy lifting for Chelsea has already been done. But if there are players who contracts are going to be expiring relatively shortly, and or players who are pretty highly paid and don't necessarily have a very prominent role for the future on our team, might be looking to see if there's a way to get out of some of these contracts and obligations over time. Certainly one guy that sticks out to me is Hakeem Ziyech, making $6.5 million a year. We've got him signed for another 2 seasons, and his transfer value is estimated to be about zero. We have him out on loan right now. Certainly seems, I'm not sure of the exact conditions of that loan, but it certainly seems like if there was a way to get out of that contract, that would be likely a positive thing for us. And as we're thinking about players that we might want to be moving on from, we also got the email about players in the last year, their contract. The recommendations from our general manager are that we extend Thiago Silva because he's an important player. Certainly is a well-regarded player. 38-year-old center back, though. Honestly, not sure if we want to be spending $6.5 million ish a year on a player like him, and who knows exactly what he's looking for right now. You can see that there's a lot of players who are going to be on expiring contracts that probably aren't true Chelsea material. Marcus Bettinelli, although we only recently re-signed him to be an emergency backup, he's going to be out 2 to 4 months with a pulled back muscle. I think it's unlikely that we'll re-up with the 31-year-old goaltender. So if we were able to perhaps move him along for something in the January transfer window when he's hopefully healthy, that might not be the worst decision in the world, particularly if we envision a bigger role down the line for Lucas Bergstrom, 28-year-old goalkeeper who is viewed as a breakthrough prospect for us, and our general manager recommends that we potentially look to re-up with him. Those of you who have watched me playing previous games know that I prefer the general manager aspect of things as opposed to the game manager aspect of things. And I think that's part of the reason why I haven't embraced FM as much as I have some other games over the years. Honestly, and I know this will be viewed as heresy by some of you who are watching or listening, I kind of find the game management in FM a bit tedious. To play through 40-ish games a year, probably closer to 50 or 60, depending on how many tournaments and cups your team ends up playing in. Simming through those individual games, giving pregame pep talks, shouting instructions during the games. Some of those things get a bit tedious to me, and as I mentioned, I'm more interested in the team building aspects of the simulation than the team managing aspects of the simulation historically, the game management. So I probably will be looking to use my staff to manage some of those things for me. I may be using my staff more expensively and actually kind of put myself more in terms of the things that I think about, more that general manager role than the actual game day football manager role that this game is really built about. So if any of you have thoughts on settings and responsibilities for the staff that might be useful for me to think about in terms of responsibilities to make the game as general manager focused as possible, would love to hear those. I certainly want to be involved in simming the games out. Don't take it that I have no interest in that, but sometimes some of the things do get a little more tedious to me, as I said, and I view them as more work-oriented things that I need to just push and get through rather than something that's enjoyable to me. And clearly playing a game, I'd like to keep it as enjoyable as possible. And having just gone through the staff induction, you can see the screen that I was talking about here with the responsibilities. I've got 68 that I'm handling right now. There's 38 that have been delegated to my staff. I'm going to spend some time adjusting this offline in the coming days to be more optimal for what I would like to spend my time on. But if there are suggestions from viewers for settings that have worked in the past for you, as far as cutting down on some of the more mundane day-to-day tasks, as far as game management, pep talks, talking to players, the things that as an aloof general manager I'm more reticent to do. Would love to hear any thoughts on how to set up responsibilities for yourself versus your staff members that have worked in the past when you've been playing the game. In taking a look at where we stand with the Chelsea staff, you can see we've got 82 staff members overall across the organization, 16 coaching, 25 on the recruitment team, 10 medical, and then we've also got under 21 and under 18 staffs, as well as the board. So a lot of personnel involved in managing this organization here. I'll probably look to add a few coaches, including a set piece coach. Definitely see some gaps as far as recruitment analysts, and we could probably use a couple more high quality physios. Honestly, even though we've got 20 scouts, you can see that as far as the English Premier League, we're kind of middle of the pack in terms of our overall recruitment team capabilities. So I'm actually also right now going to ask for the number of scouts to be increased by the board. It's also possible I may try to fire a scout or two that don't have ratings quite up to par for me, or maybe try to get a mutual buyout with some of those scouts that are perhaps not as good. I'm sure there's a few in here that when I look at their ratings as far as judging player ability and potential, as well as adaptability, which are the most important aspects for a scout. There's going to be some that I like more than others, and there's going to be some whose knowledge of other countries fits well with what we have. You can see just here, peeking in on a few of our 20 scouts. We've got a lot who are experts in England and Scotland, as you would expect. But want to make sure that we've also got pretty good scouting capabilities in places like Brazil and Argentina, where we may be finding some future wonder kids that we may want to invest in down the line, and then also want to ensure that we're well covered in the other prominent first division leagues in Europe, especially Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. So I'll be spending some time on visiting with the recruitment team, making some offers to bolster our coaching staff a bit, and hopefully increase the capabilities of our staff to make things run as smoothly as possible. And in the event that I do delegate more and more tasks, have hopefully smart AI coaches and scouts and doctors and physios and analysts handling things for me. And I mentioned might be looking to update our scouting staff a bit. The type of player or the type of scout that I'd likely be looking to potentially move on from is someone here like Claudio Damiani. 9 adaptability, 6 in terms of his judging ability, and 7 in terms of his judging potential. So while you might end up with a scout with those kind of ratings if you were in a lower level team with a smaller budget than we have here at Chelsea, I think we can probably find someone better than Damiani. The issue is he signed until 2026, and he also does have some knowledge of Italy, which we're not necessarily going to have a lot of other people with knowledge of. But just for purposes of going through the exercise, we'll see what he thinks about offering a mutual termination. That could be an opportunity for us to maybe not have to pay him the full close to $220,000 that we're going to owe him between now and the end of 2026. Offer the mutual termination to Claudio, and he agrees to terminate his contract for $100,000. So although that's more than we would have been paying him for this upcoming season, it's less than we would have owed him over the next 3 years. So we're going to go ahead and confirm that move. Damiani's contract is terminated, and now we have an opening for a scout in terms of what the board's committed to us already. As you saw earlier, I also requested an additional scout, which I'm guessing they will probably approve. But now it's really time for me to go in and spend a lot of time getting to know all of the scouts and coaches that we do have right now to figure out, do I have another scout in Italy who is very effective, or should I look for perhaps a replacement with knowledge of Italy and better traits than the now unemployed Damiani brought to the table? And with the large budget that we have at Chelsea and the large scouting staff that we're hoping to make better, we've got good coverage and good knowledge of the world. We've got the worldwide scouting range as far as the package that we're looking at. So we've got pretty good knowledge of a lot of places. We don't really have anyone else who's an expert in Italy, although our knowledge there right now is decent. But so I think we're certainly going to look for an Italian expert with the opening we have right now. And as you would expect, when we look at our scouts, we've got a ton of them who are specialized in England. And I think that I may look to fire a couple of them or look for mutual buyouts, mutual termination agreements, just to give myself capacity to not necessarily have 15 or 16 of the 20 scouts on our team being experts in our home country. Clearly, it's critically important to us, but I think that we can probably still do fine losing a couple of scouts who are experts in England, and perhaps allocating some resources to some more esoteric parts of the world where we don't have as much knowledge right now. And Jeremy Lade is a example of a guy that I'm going to look to potentially move on from. And he actually, it looks like in real life, just joined Chelsea from West Brom this year. So I feel bad for Jeremy, but he only knows England. His judging ability and potential are fine, but not exceptional, as is his adaptability. So I think we are going to look towards a mutual termination with Jeremy as well. See what he thinks of that. And he'll agree to terminate for $75,000. So again, we'll save a bit of money over the period of the next few years. And hopefully we'll be able to replace him with someone with somewhat higher scouting abilities and a somewhat different area of expertise than England. Clearly, we'll probably end up spending significantly more than the $52,000 a year that we were paying Jeremy to do that. But I'm expecting this team to ultimately be successful and make some money. And we've got options to help our finances if we need. Haven't spent a lot of time at this point as far as the clauses that we have available to buy or sell, and whether there's anything that we would really want to exercise right now. but there's certainly options for us if we need to generate a little bit of money to do so. And as I mentioned, I think that we'll be re reimagining this roster over the next year, and then about a year from now, when the summer transfer window opens, probably doing a lot of things that will hopefully have our team better than it is right now, and also in an even more stable financial situation than it is today. And thinking about potential scouts to fill the 2 openings that we have right now, as well as the additional opening I'm hoping we'll have if the board approves my request for additional scout. Just did a simple search here for people with a scouting background who have at least 15 ability in the 3 critical traits for a scout: adaptability, judging player ability, and judging player potential. And you can see that for a team like Chelsea, there's 73 people out there who fit those criteria. So we're going to simplify it a bit and look for at least one who has expertise in Italy, and then also maybe look for a scout with some capabilities in Argentina. We have some capabilities in Brazil right now, but Argentina isn't as strong for us, so that might be another area where we could improve our knowledge of the world. And we've added in looking for a scout with extensive knowledge of Italy, as well as those other traits. And you can see there's still 27 that meet our criteria, many of whom are already working, not surprisingly. But there's some pretty impressive resumes out here. David Trezeguet, 45-year-old out of France, has extensive knowledge of France, Argentina, Belgium, Spain, and Italy. So would certainly be an asset to our team. You can see he's got 18 adaptability, 19 judging player ability, 20 judging player potential. I think he could be a real asset for our team. My hunch is he's going to be looking for a relatively high amount of money. But hey, we're Chelsea. We can afford it. Can't we? And not surprisingly, David looking for over $500,000 a year, 4-year contract to join us. Knew it was going to be expensive, clearly a lot more than the guys that we let go, but he also got a lot more competency in terms of his individual skills and a lot more extensive knowledge of various areas of the world than the 2 guys that we let go did. And would like to get David for less than $500,000 per year. Not sure how low we're going to be able to go. I don't have any relationship with him, so I don't want to insult him. But we're going to come in about $100,000 a year less than he was initially looking for, and see what he thinks of that. And he's come down a little bit off his demand. We're willing to go 4 years for him. I think he would be one of the most talented scouts on our staff, so I don't have a problem paying up for him. We'll come back with $481,000 a year as an offer, and he's actually willing to think about that. So we're going to go ahead and try to finalize the deal with him, and hopefully we'll hear from David Trezeguet. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, in the coming days, and hopefully he will be bolstering the scouting staff here in Chelsea for us. So I've spent a decent amount of time making offers to people. We walked through the offer to David Trezeguet, a number of other scouts, analysts, assistant coaches that we've made offers for. And we also did take advantage to start some searches and publicize some roles that we were also looking for help in as well. So been busy with trying to improve our staff, and hopefully we'll bring on some of the people that we've spoken to recently and made offers to. Hopefully the searches that we've started will help us as well. Definitely want to bolster some of those areas that I talked about. And then we're also going to spend some time looking at our under 21 staff, which is a little bit heavy in terms of coaches right now, and our under 18 staff, which is very light in terms of coaching, as well as the medical team. So, certainly some opportunities to right size the staffs and improve the staffs at both of those levels, which we'll spend some time on. And I'm going to be digging in much deeper in the squad and kind of letting you know what I think about the actual players who we'll be relying on to win games for us in the future. But with that, gonna finish the episode. I know there's not a ton of depth here. We're really just starting things off. I want to get the episode out there relatively quickly for those of you who are going to watch to react to. And if you are not a subscriber to our channel, would appreciate if you subscribe to the channel if you think this is the type of output that you'd be interested in seeing more of and watching more of. And as I mentioned, this is really going to be a learning experience for me. So any comments that you are willing to share about good directions that we're headed down, poor directions that we're headed down, what you would do in my situation will be very helpful to me as we try to ultimately build a winner here in Chelsea. And even more importantly than that, make myself and most importantly, those of you who are watching, better players who have more fun playing FM24. So until our next episode, appreciate any thoughts in the comment section and look forward to seeing what we're able to build in London with Chelsea in FM24 going forward. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching and hope you have a great day.